Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the world, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this seventh episode of Most Haunted Cemeteries in the World, we delve deeper into the shadowy realms of burial grounds steeped in tragedy, mystery, and the supernatural. These places are more than just final resting spots for the departed. They are portals to another realm, where the whispers of the dead linger long after their bodies have turned to dust. Cemeteries, by their very nature, are spaces of reverence and reflection, yet they also harbor an undeniable air of foreboding. They stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time, each tombstone a marker not only of a life ended but often of secrets buried alongside it. When these sacred grounds become haunted, they transform into eerie landscapes where the boundaries between the living and the dead blur, inviting us to confront the unknown. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted cemeteries across the globe, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of ancient crypts, explore eerie mausoleums cloaked in ivy, and tread cautiously through overgrown pathways teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of the world's most notorious cemeteries, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. Père-Lachaise Cemetery, Paris's eternal restlessness. Nestled in the heart of Paris, France, Père-Lachaise Cemetery stands as one of the most iconic and hauntingly beautiful burial grounds in the world, a sprawling necropolis spanning over 110 acres, home to the remains of luminaries like Oscar Wilde, Jim Morrison, and Edith Piaf. Established in 1804 under Napoleon Bonaparte's decree, the cemetery was designed to alleviate overcrowding in Paris's church graveyards while creating a serene space for eternal rest. Its lush tree-lined avenues, ornate tombs, and sculptures evoke a sense of timeless elegance, yet beneath its polished veneer lies a darker narrative, one marked by sorrow, betrayal, and spectral encounters. One of the most enduring legends tied to Père-Lachaise involves the ghost of François de la Rochefoucauld, a French nobleman whose body was never recovered after his execution during the Reign of Terror. According to local lore, Rochefoucauld's spirit roams the cemetery's eastern section, searching for his lost remains. Visitors exploring this area report hearing faint footsteps echoing through the pathways, accompanied by the sound of rustling leaves despite calm weather. Some claim to see a translucent figure dressed in period attire wandering aimlessly among the graves, his expression frozen in perpetual anguish. Others describe feeling an icy draft pass through them, as though Rochefoucauld's restless energy lingers in the air. Another prominent figure in Père-Lachaise's haunted lore is believed to be Heloise and Abelard, the star-crossed lovers immortalized in medieval legend. Their joined tomb, located near the entrance, draws countless admirers eager to pay tribute to their tragic romance. Yet many report strange occurrences when visiting the site, flickering candles that refuse to stay lit, disembodied whispers reciting fragments of love letters, and the overwhelming scent of roses lingering even in winter. Witnesses describe seeing two shadowy figures embracing near the tomb, their forms dissolving into mist when approached. Some speculate that Heloise and Abelard remain tethered to the physical world by their undying devotion, unable, or unwilling, to part ways even in death. The cemetery's catacombs, though officially sealed off, have gained a reputation for paranormal activity among urban explorers who dare to venture into its depths. Stories abound of individuals descending into the labyrinthine tunnels only to encounter glowing orbs floating in the darkness, or hearing distant moans reverberating through the stone walls. One particularly unnerving account comes from a group of teenagers who swore they saw a procession of ghostly monks chanting prayers in Latin before vanishing without explanation. Theories suggest that these apparitions may belong to clergy members interred in unmarked graves during periods of religious persecution. Modern-day investigations into Père Lachaise supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the vicinity of famous tombs and secluded alcoves. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique statuary believed to have been commissioned by grieving families. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "help me," and "let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Père Lachaise continues to draw millions of visitors annually, drawn by both its historical significance and its spectral reputation. For those brave enough to explore its winding paths after dark, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, Père Lachaise promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. Shadows of New Orleans. Tucked away in the vibrant city of New Orleans, Louisiana, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 stands as one of America's oldest and most haunted burial grounds, a compact yet labyrinthine expanse of above-ground tombs reflecting the city's unique cultural heritage. Established in 1789, the cemetery reflects the traditions of French, Spanish, and African influences, with its ornate mausoleums rising like miniature cathedrals against the humid southern air. While its beauty is undeniable, so too is its reputation as a hotspot for spectral activity, steeped in tales of voodoo rituals, unsolved murders, and restless spirits. One of the most pervasive legends tied to St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 revolves around Marie Laveau, the legendary Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. Her tomb, marked by 3 X's carved into its stone facade, has become a pilgrimage site for those seeking blessings, or curses, from beyond the grave. Visitors report hearing faint chanting emanating from the tomb at night, accompanied by the smell of burning herbs like sage and Palo Santo. Some claim to see a shadowy figure resembling Laveau standing motionless near her resting place, her piercing gaze locking onto intruders before vanishing into thin air. Others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them, as though her power extends far beyond death. Another prominent figure in the cemetery's haunted lore is believed to be Alphonse, a young boy whose tragic end remains shrouded in mystery. Historical records indicate that he died under suspicious circumstances in the early 19th century, possibly poisoned by a jealous rival. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a childlike voice whispering phrases like, "Play with me," and "Don't leave me here." Witnesses described seeing a small figure darting between tombstones, giggling softly before disappearing altogether. Some speculate that Alphonse remains tethered to the cemetery due to unresolved trauma, unable to find peace in the afterlife. The cemetery's northern section, known locally as the Corridor of Sorrow, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled cries and the sound of footsteps echoing through empty pathways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a tour guide who swore she felt cold metal cuffs snap around her wrists, pulling her backward toward a crypt before releasing her abruptly. Theories abound that the corridor harbors residual energy from countless acts of violence and despair inflicted upon its forgotten residents. Modern-day investigations into St. Louis Cemetery No. 1's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the vicinity of Marie Laveau's tomb and the Corridor of Sorrow. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near iron gates believed to have been forged using cursed materials. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like "Save me" and "I'm still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 continues to draw thrill seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy. Highgate Cemetery, London's Gothic necropolis perched atop a hill in North London, Highgate Cemetery stands as one of England's most atmospheric and hauntingly beautiful burial grounds, a sprawling Victorian-era necropolis brimming with moss-covered tombs, crumbling statues, and gnarled trees that seem to claw at the sky. Established in 1839, the cemetery was designed as part of a larger movement to create garden cemeteries that combine solemnity with natural beauty. However, its picturesque charm belies a darker history steeped in scandal, occult practices, and supernatural phenomena that have made it a magnet for ghost hunters and curious visitors alike. One of the most enduring legends tied to Highgate involves the infamous Highgate vampire, a shadowy figure rumored to have prowled the cemetery in the 1970s. Local newspapers reported sightings of a tall, gaunt man with glowing red eyes preying on unsuspecting victims within the cemetery's confines. Though initially dismissed as urban legend, reports persisted, sparking widespread panic and inspiring a series of amateur vampire hunts led by self-proclaimed demonologists. To this day, visitors claim to feel an overwhelming sense of dread when walking near certain mausoleums, accompanied by the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Some describe seeing a dark figure lurking in the shadows, its form dissolving into mist when approached directly. Another prominent figure in Highgate's haunted lore is believed to be Elizabeth Siddal, the pre-Raphaelite muse and poet whose untimely death at age 32 left her husband, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, devastated. Buried in an unmarked grave within the West Cemetery, Siddal's spirit is said to haunt the surrounding woods, manifesting as a wraith-like woman draped in flowing white robes. Visitors exploring the area report hearing faint sobbing emanating from empty pathways, accompanied by the sound of rustling leaves despite calm weather. Some claim to see her translucent form gazing mournfully out of windows etched into tombstones, her face obscured by shadows. Others describe feeling an icy draft pass through them, as though her grief permeates the very air. The East Cemetery, home to notable figures such as Karl Marx and Douglas Adams, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled conversations and the sound of footsteps echoing through empty pathways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a volunteer who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the East Cemetery harbors residual energy from countless memorials and vigils held over the decades. Modern-day investigations into Highgate's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the vicinity of Elizabeth Siddal's alleged resting place and the Karl Marx monument. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique statuary believed to have been commissioned by grieving families. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "help me," and "let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Highgate continues to draw millions of visitors annually, drawn by both its historical significance and its spectral reputation. For those brave enough to explore its winding paths after dark, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, Highgate promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Catacombs of Paris. A subterranean realm of bones beneath the bustling streets of Paris lies a macabre underworld unlike any other, the Catacombs of Paris. A vast network of underground tunnels stretching over 280 kilometers and housing the remains of approximately 6 million people. Originally quarries dug to extract limestone for the city's construction, these cavernous passages were repurposed in the late 18th century as ossuaries to alleviate overcrowding in Parisian cemeteries. Today, they stand as a haunting testament to mortality, their walls lined with meticulously arranged skulls and femurs forming eerie patterns that evoke both awe and unease. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the catacombs involves the ghost of Philibert Espert, a hospital porter who disappeared in 1793 while attempting to retrieve bottles of medicinal liquor stored in the underground quarries. His body was discovered 11 years later, still clutching the key to the cellar door. Visitors exploring the catacombs report hearing faint tapping sounds echoing through the tunnels, accompanied by the sensation of cold drafts rushing past them. Some claim to see a pale figure stumbling blindly through the darkness, his face contorted in agony before vanishing without explanation. Others describe feeling an overwhelming sense of claustrophobia, as though Espert's despair lingers in the air. Another prominent figure in the catacombs' haunted lore is believed to be Marguerite, a young woman who fell victim to tuberculosis during the cholera epidemic of 1832. Historical accounts suggest that she was hastily buried alive by panicked undertakers, her screams muffled by layers of earth. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a female entity whispering phrases like, "Let me out," and "I can't breathe." Witnesses describe seeing a translucent figure clawing desperately at the walls of the tunnels, her movements jerky and unnatural. Some speculate that Marguerite remains tethered to the catacombs due to unresolved trauma, unable to find peace in the afterlife. The catacombs' deeper sections, accessible only to authorized personnel, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled moans and the sound of bones shifting beneath their feet, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a maintenance worker who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the deeper sections harbor residual energy from countless burials and desecrations conducted in secret. Modern-day investigations into the catacombs' supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the vicinity of Philibert Espert's final resting place and the deeper sections. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near iron gates believed to have been forged using cursed materials. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like "Save me" and "I'm still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the catacombs continue to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, the catacombs promise an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Patterns across haunted cemeteries. Themes of loss and memory as we traverse the haunted landscapes of the world's most notorious cemeteries. From the opulent tombs of Père Lachaise to the somber catacombs of Paris, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing mausoleums of New Orleans to the shadowed crypts of London, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unsolved crimes or the betrayed trust of those buried prematurely, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic cemeteries, with their labyrinthine pathways, towering mausoleums, and hidden alcoves create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: tombs where loved ones were laid to rest, crypts where rituals were performed, or pathways where tragedies unfolded. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing visitors to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted cemeteries, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each cemetery's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere burial grounds into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted cemeteries captivate us? What is it about haunted cemeteries that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the rustling leaves and flickering candlelight lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on faith or ritual to ease our passing. When these sacred grounds become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. The core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted cemeteries exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, memory and oblivion, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted cemetery feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted cemeteries contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Winding pathways lined with identical tombstones create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant whisper, the rustle of leaves, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older cemeteries, with their hidden crypts and overgrown vegetation, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted cemeteries. Media representations, from films like The Sixth Sense to television series such as Supernatural, have cemented the trope of the haunted graveyard as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about mortality, legacy, and the fragility of memory. Haunted cemeteries become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of identity, the erasure of history, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted cemeteries appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to preserve memory. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted cemeteries attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted cemeteries lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted paths, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through the world's most haunted cemeteries to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each rustling leaf, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call sacred. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of the world's haunted cemeteries yourself. Walk the same paths where spirits are said to roam, stand in the shadows of ancient tombs where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken grounds offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of centuries-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty pathway? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.